Welcome to On the Anvil, the Blue Void Productions interview series. My name is Maxwell DiMarco. I play Maxo and Maximilian, twin brothers on Ghost Sniffers, a Blue Void series. Today, I'll be interviewing Jennifer DiMarco, the writer, director, and cinematographer of Ghost Sniffers. Hello, Jennifer. What's it like to be on the Anvil?
Surprisingly comfortable.
Though you're best known as one tough mother, you're also known as a businesswoman, carpenter, published novelist, award-winning poet, publisher, game designer, songwriter, amateur mathematician, art builder, musician, web designer, painter, teacher, coffee blender, and boxer.
Is that a question?
I'm looking for confirmation.
That list is accurate.
In your own words, what is Ghost Sniffers?
Ghost Sniffers is a parody of ghost hunting shows that says, what if our kids that are dealing with medical conditions, actually the trade-off for that is superpowers, extraordinary powers. So the genre is the ghost hunting genre, and the point of the show is to create new, young superheroes.
So how did Ghost Sniffers come to be?
How did Ghost Sniffers come to be? Well, one night, Faith was watching a ghost hunting show, and I tease her a little bit about the way she likes these ghost hunting shows, because I personally don't believe in the paranormal or any of the things that these types of shows tend to investigate. But she really likes them. And afterwards, she turned to me and she said, "You should write me a ghost hunting show that I could star in." We talked about it and we joked about it. Now she knows that I know how to write a script, because I've written a feature length before and a couple of shorts, and so she knew I could do it. But when we talked about it, just the two of us, we talked about a comedy, just a pure comedy that was actually very bawdy in a way, and certainly PG-13, not actually G or lightly PG the way Ghost Sniffers is. The idea was to have Faith Forge, a starring character with a lot of other girls, give or take a couple years in age, who were fellow ghost sniffers, and they went and investigated real locations, much like a ghost hunting show. So a lot of it would be grainy, and a lot of it would be, oh, what was that? Oh, what was this? Oh, the power of suggestion. And they would, things would be shot at night with night vision cameras and this kind of thing. Unfortunately, when I actually sat down to write, and Faith kept pestering me, "Did you write me that script yet? Did you write me that script yet?" I realized that I couldn't sustain my interest in writing a show that really, even though it was silly and a true parody and a comedy, I really couldn't sustain my interest in the ghost hunting genre just as it is. I wanted to know, who is Faith Forge? Why does she do this? What's her family life like? Does she have any brothers and sisters? I wanted some more meat. And you can see that the first episode is more of just a straight investigation, but from there it really spans, it expands, and we find out more about the characters. We find that they're not just caricatures. It's not just a parody of ghost hunting. It's actually something a lot more. And I plotted out the whole 12 episodes. I plotted out our marketing. I designed the website. I tried to maintain these things. I tried to gather actors to us. We held open auditions, so that somehow everything could be tied together and more meat, more heart could be brought to the series. I'm just thrilled that Faith still likes this idea and not just the original idea, which the title alone was PG-13, so I can't repeat it here.
When do you sleep?
Excuse me?
When do you find the time to sleep?
I'm sorry, I don't think I understand the question.
Moving along then. Emma Forrest, the actor who plays Harley on Ghost Sniffers, asks, "Are there scenes also episodes that you envisioned in your mind even before writing the script?
Are there scenes or moments that I envision in my mind before I actually even write the script? I would say yes. There's at least one or two central scenes or exchanges of dialogue per script that I can really see in my mind as images before I ever write a script. The first step for me is always creating a skeleton, an idea. Interestingly enough, I usually come up with a title first. I started as a novelist, and the first thing I always came up with was my title. And I would build a book around a title that spoke to me. With Ghost Sniffers, because it is a visual medium in the end, even though I do understand that I am definitely more wordy than I think other television or film writers, there are images that I see. I want to see Forge sitting on a stump in an incredibly ancient cemetery, and suddenly she just starts to cry. And how did that come to be? How did Forge come to be there? Is it an investigation? Is she stumped? There are singular images like that, and then often a script. I'll build the script around that.
Another question. Christy Gromberg, the actor who plays Sirius Spike on Ghost Sniffers, asks, why do Forge and Spike go by their last names whilst other characters use their first names? I added in the whilst, by the way.
Right now, with episodes 1 through 6, Forge and Spark, Faith Forge and Sirius Spark, are the only two characters that go by their last names. And I also see them as the only two truly professional characters in the series. They both are professional ghost hunters. They are both professional ghost investigators. And because of that, in their industry, kind of like with athletes, how they often go by their last name, they go by their last names. I also think that it elevates the characters and makes them more mature going by their last names. It sets them slightly apart from the others. It's not that they're better or that they're arrogant or anything like that. It's simply that they know who they are, and in many ways they're like little miniature grown-ups already. And that's why they both go by their last names.
What do these songs have in common? Love You Like a Love Song, On the Floor, Judas, Case of You, Southern Cross, and I Try.
When I write, I wear headphones, and I'm usually writing very, very late at night, between midnight and 6 or 7 in the morning. As I'm writing, through the headphones, I play one song over and over and over again on repeat.
The average script takes you 12 hours to write. Macy Gray's I Try is roughly 4 minutes long. That means you listen to the song 180 times.
That's actually true. That's true. I've probably mathematically listened to the song about 180 times. The amazing thing is, and I think this is why I'm not an actor, is because I still don't have all the lyrics to any of these songs memorized.
As we're conducting this interview, episodes 1 through 6 have wrapped. What's next for Forge and her cohorts?
I do have the first 12 episodes completely charted out. The skeletons for each of those episodes are done. We're right on track. The only thing that has changed and is changing is the order of the episodes. I did some pretty dramatic flip-flopping of the first 4 episodes in the second half of season 1. What we're going to see is we're going to see an influx of new characters, and actually some other ghost hunting characters that are going to become relatively pivotal to the series as a whole. As a matter of fact, they're going to be characters that I focus entire episodes on in season 2. We're also going to see a Forge continue to track down the big bad of season 1, a big bad that may or may not continue throughout the series. And I think that's going to be really exciting. We're going to see the characters develop and change, and we are going to see a return to the investigation style episode. I think it's going to be really good.
Being a director means you have to guide the actors on how to best fulfill your and the writer's vision of the project. Do you find this writer hard to work with?
Yeah, I would say I find myself hard to work with.
I thought so. What about the actors? Is it hard constantly telling them what to do?
I think what makes that a tricky question to answer is that I don't quite think of myself yet as a director. I think of myself more as a writer with a camera. I certainly know that I tend to be more wordy, more, I guess, theater writer than screenwriter at this point, but that is my style. I don't really see myself changing that. The other thing that makes things a little different is, I think, my approach in general. My mental storyboard or physical storyboard I see as my first draft, and my second draft is the script. My third draft is what I create with the actors in the moment, which can certainly, there can be some variation on my first two drafts. And then the final draft is the way those images and sounds are cut together, the music that's added, the effects, and that kind of becomes the fourth or final draft.
Which I primarily created working with Brienne DiMarco, the post-production engineer, and Chris K.A. DiMarco, the series composer.
It's a very collaborative process. I'm incredibly lucky to have the team that I have. I don't think I have the desire to do all of that by myself. I know that some directors, they do want to choose everything. They want every cut, every angle, every take chosen by them, every piece of music, sound effect, whatever it is. And I think at that point I'm ready to have someone else look at the work and say, you know what would be really powerful here? Now, I have worked as the music director for an episode before, and I did love doing that. Obviously, I have final say on any cut or effect that Brienne creates, any music that Chris lays in, but I really do see that as a truly collaborative process, and I really like that part. I think the things that I struggle with as a director are more interpersonal. The kind of actors that I want to work with are the kind that want to know about their character. What was said before my line? What was said after my line? What is my character feeling right now? I really like an actor with a lot of questions, because that tells me that they are fully vested in their character and they're giving to Ghost Sniffers, to whatever the project is, more than anyone else. It's not just about, well, I've got my lines memorized and I can deliver them. And so what, you want it delivered like funny? No, I want you to actually care about the character. I want you to have a personal connection with the character. And I think sometimes that's too much for me to ask. Someone's like, I'm here to do a job. I will do it accurately, but you have to give me a lot of feedback for it to be accurate, as opposed to me writing and crafting a character specifically for a person and then hoping they have that connection and going with that naturally and finding a sincerity in their role. Some of the tricky things about directing are, again, going back to the interpersonal, is when I don't get that, or we work with a lot of minors, which I really enjoy, obviously. As a mom with my own kids, I like having them surrounded by other kids, but it's very difficult sometimes. Some of our adult actors are seasoned actors, but so are some of our kids. I mean, some of them are 12 years old and they've been doing this for 10 years. Their parents are always on set. That can be really amazing. I've met some amazing moms and dads, but sometimes it can be really, really hard. Faith in real life is in dance, and so is Max. And this stereotype of the dance mom, you know, I haven't run into that in real life, but I have found that there's a kind of dance mom in actors that are on set with their kiddo, and not only do they direct their kiddo when they're on camera, but they direct other kids. And I have to come into myself as a director so that I can turn to folks and say, you know what, not only are you undermining my authority, but the direction you just gave is inaccurate. And if you really ultimately want to direct, then you should be running your own show. So that's a little tricky for me. That isn't something I've run into in life before.
As the cinematographer of Ghost Sniffers, what are your greatest challenges?
I would say my greatest challenges as a cinematographer are equipment challenges. We have a phenomenal camera. It really does do wonderful things. But making a show, making a film isn't all about the camera. We have very limited lighting. Very early on, we lost one of our lighting trees when it fell down a flight of stairs. We have one lighting tree. We have a great brand mic. I mean, it's a wonderful mic, but it is a top-mounted mic. We don't have a boom mic. We don't have a boom mic operator. We don't often have enough crew on set to do things like, for instance, move props so that they're in just the right light or just the right angle. So often I have to leave my mark as the camera operator / cinematographer to move a prop or something like this. And a lot of people say, but aren't Chris and Brianne with you at every shoot? Well, first of all, that's not true. They can't always make it because they do have other roles that they have to play as well. And I don't mean acting roles, I mean like producing, the post-production engineer, the editing. So that doesn't always work. And the other thing is that I am responsible before anything creative with Ghost Sniffers. I am responsible for the health and well-being of Maxwell and Faith. And if their health or their needs need to be seen to, I trust Brianne and Chris because they're my family. So we had a recent shoot where Brianne was with one of the kiddos and Chris was with the other kiddo, and so I was moving my own props. And it becomes a more time-consuming process because every time I, as the camera operator, leave my mark, I have to refine my mark, refine my focus, refine my light. So that is definitely a challenge.
Several of our viewers asked, what advice do you have for aspiring writers, directors, and cinematographers?
My advice for aspiring filmmakers, whether you're writing, directing, filming, is just do it. Get any camera, any script, any crew, and just do it. You can always upgrade later. Before we started Ghost Sniffers, I went into Seattle, I took the ferry, and I purchased close to $600 in independent film and independent short film and webisode, every book I could get my hands on that was in the category at Elliott Bay. And I read them, and I highlighted them, and I wrote all over them, and I learned more in my first week of shooting than I learned in any of those. The truth of the matter is, and they were some great books, but the truth of the matter is, your style is your style, and you have to find it. And you have to find what works best with your camera, your crew, the type of script you want to do. Now, even though these are recent examples, they are examples. When you look at, for instance, the Blair Witch Project, I mean recent in the grand scheme of theater, or Paranormal Activity, you know, this kind of idea of actors talking directly to the camera, grainy footage, found footage. You know, this wasn't a tried and true tested formula when Blair Witch Project did it. This was an idea. Well, what works for you? Well, maybe it works for you to shoot and put everything together in a non-linear fashion in black and white, half of it, and vibrant solarized color in the other half. Maybe people will look at it and go, oh my gosh, I've never seen anything like that before. What an incredible idea. That might be what you do. Maybe you do everything purposely with all blue light or green light or whatever it is. Go ahead and jump in and do it. You'll see, oh, I like this kind of dialogue when it's actually finished and edited. Oh, that was too wordy. Oh, that doesn't sound real. Or maybe it sounds too real. It doesn't sound dramatic enough. I want more effects, less effects. Whatever it is, I would say just do it. I think the only exception that I would throw in there is for writers. There's one book. Now, I read it the year it was published when I was 24 years old, and it's by Robert McKee, and it's called Story. And all I can wish is that I wish that book had been published when I was 10, when I first published my first novel, because all the novels that came after that one, and even that very first one, would have learned and gained so much from what I realized about myself, about story structure, about story pacing, about what is good story, well told. And that is what Story, the book by Robert McKee, taught me. I use those philosophies exclusively, and it crosses over everything, comics, film, webisodes, short stories. In some ways, it even crosses over into poetry in some ways. The rising action, the falling action. These are things that if you have done any education into creative writing, you've heard these things, but Story really makes it come alive. So I would recommend get a copy of Story. It's dense, read it, and that will be the best thing you can do for yourself as a writer.
Give us a sneak peek into the Ghost Sniffers brand as a whole. What's just around the corner?
There's some really amazing things just around the corner for the brand, actually. There are novelizations of the episodes. That's episodes 1 through 12. They're going to be in novel form for the preteen and teenager set. There's also going to be new investigations in novel form that will be written. That's already begun. There's going to be a series of hand-drawn comics, which are beautiful. I've seen some of the character sketches. And that is going to focus entirely on brand new investigations, but using characters that we will meet and see in season 1 of Ghost Sniffers. Then we have a role-playing game with a really great twist that will allow you to play the characters in the series and also create your own ghost hunting characters. So I think that's going to be really fun. We are considering launching a fan forum for kids under the age of 18 where they can pose questions to Maxo and Forge and Spark and some of the other characters, and also bounce around ideas about sniffs and locations that we should go to and have Forge investigate. I think that's going to be really exciting to connect kids where they can talk about the show. Another great thing just around the corner is we do have our premiere of the first 6 episodes being shown on the big screen on March 29. We're going to film that, and using some of that footage and also other interviews with other actors from season 1, we're going to be creating a project documentary about Ghost Sniffers, and that will be out in April. There's also going to be a music video. Episode 10, it's actually going to be. I wrote an original hip-hop song that is partially rapped and partially sung. And 2 amazing actors, Meg McLynn and my little sister Angela DiMarco, actually appeared in that episode as a hip-hop duo called Green Star. And they performed the song. Maxo actually rapped part of the song with them. And the song is called Wishmaker, and it really is an anthem for the entire series. And I am right now considering actually scripting a music video that is for the song and actually releasing the music video even before the episode, because I just think it so perfectly sums up what we're about and what we're trying to do. And I'm really looking forward to that. It can't hurt you. See over there, down there, the floor is showing. Don't let that show. No, don't let the floor. No, see, now you have the whole bookcase. Everything in this area, not the gray.
Very hard to piece it, not get the
Yes,
inside.
tell me about it. Okay, there. Okay. So you can cut off a little bit of this head, but not too much. Oh, God.
Don't fall.
Let's get close to me.
Excuse me.
Can you see my head at all, babe?
It's cut it off a little bit, but other than that,
Can you see the anvil?
no. Now I can, but it completely cuts off your head. Literally.
Okay, Faith, Pam. Okay, can you see the anvil if you go further down? Don't get my socks.
Yes, sort of.
Okay.
But it's out of focus.
It's okay.
I could just see the tip of it.
Okay. When she reaches up back to our faces. Okay.
This concludes my interview with Jennifer DiMarco. And focus on Max.
Okay, so tell us action. And then pan from the anvil up to Max and my faces.
I'm getting this.
What?
I'm getting the pole thing.
The pole?
That was the light.
The pole. Or come closer. You come closer. Because all you have to get here is the anvil.
Okay, I think I'm ready.
Okay?
Action. This concludes my interview with Jennifer DiMarco.
Thank you for having me.
Now, get off the anvil.
Okay.
I think it was pretty good.
There we go. You did it.
I think it was pretty good.
I'm sure it was.